There's a few corrections I'd like to make about the previous video, but I can't. Could you captivated my heart? Let's get right to the point. Part 1. What is a social construct? Homestuck is an MS Paint adventure that ran from 2009 to 2019, allegedly. An MS Paint adventure is essentially a one-man show, an interactive story that happens in real time so that you can interact with it, and the author generates what happens next in the story based on user commands and user input. Now, what made Homestuck different from the previous MS Paint adventures? If you said pester logs, you're technically correct. So what is a pester log? Taken straight from the text, it is never advisable to open a pester log. You see, the button is a trap, which when sprung, releases words upon words, which only serve to remind you of your intense dislike for the people saying the things, as well as how little regard the author has for your valuable time. Homestuck is the story of 4 kids who play a computer game that turns out to be Homestuck spoilers, by the way, for this whole vid, all of Homestuck. Turns out is the propagation method of universes in this fiction. Now, the story, like many good stories, starts in what we can understand is recognizable as our universe, our reality, with just some real-ass human kids who talk to each other like human kids. They're funny and just hanging out, just being real. And over the course of the story, we take a lot of the social constructs that the characters come in with, and they get examined or challenged in some way by either just their experiences or their growth. So it can be tricky to wrap your head around things that you have understood or believed that you fully understood your whole life, that everyone you ever grew up with was completely certain about, these social constructs that just have existed long, and as I'm 100% certain you already know, but, you know, things being social constructs don't stop them from, you know, also existing as the literal things being described. So, you know, money is a social construct, gender is a social construct, sexuality is a social construct, many other things. fairly early into Homestuck, we're introduced to a RPG-style class system. And every hero, every protagonist in Homestuck has a class, and they also have an aspect. And these combine to make their full title. So you might be a page of breath or a seer of time, and it describes this in this kind of existential way their role in the story and their power and their impact. And this is a social construct, and it's a it's a beefy one. It's a beefy one. You got 14 classes, 12 aspects that you can read onto any character. So if you are familiar with Homestuck or Homestucks, you might know that the term class specting blew the hell up, because you can assign a class and an aspect to any character from any fiction, and you sure as hell come up with your own. I'm a witch of heart. Thank you for asking. You're a webcam. You're still just a webcam. Homestuck introduces a social construct. It invents it. It didn't exist before Homestuck. It exists in the story. It's a fictional element. Some dude imagined it. One of the first groups of characters that our main characters meet is a group of aliens from a planet where, because of their reproductive methods, effectively everyone on the planet is bisexual. They are genuinely unfamiliar with what it means to be gay. They are just unfamiliar with the stigma of it, with why the straight main characters are uncomfortable with it. Sorry, straight main characters. So genuinely, by the end of Homestuck, because it did end, it's a completed work, by the end of it, nigh every social construct I have mentioned in this video gets deconstructed. Their concept of money becomes meaningless as the kids all ascend the tiers of godhood and have to leave their universe and escape to another one and such like that, where, like, what does $50 billion mean in that context where you have universe-bending powers, sexuality, gender, and that's great. You love to see it. And I think rather conspicuously, the class-specting system basically doesn't get deconstructed. And I personally have a off-the-wall theory about class-specting being a social construct. I just have this sense that they're all drawing from the same power at its true core, but it's like the power is veiled and you're just seeing it through these slots, and the different slots are the particular identity, like this particular class and aspect that you are channeling this power through. Who you are and what you're capable of gets shaped by what you believe you are and what you're capable of, and what you believe can get shaped by what you're told and how you're treated. If you've been along for the ride, if you've been invested in these characters the whole time, and you've been at all swayed by their journey and the reflections on the world that you're presented with, and how you perceive it and how you participate in it and how you create it all at the same time. So the story hands you this one massively fun pattern recognition tool, this social construct system of class specting, and it hands it to you, and it's presented the way that it is. It's a fictional concept in a fictional story, but it's fun, and it's very, it really meshes with people's brains to want to sort and pattern recognize and apply, imbue meaning and connections, and that holds steady through to the end. It never breaks. It never gets deconstructed, essentially. While the social constructs that we are familiar with from our day-to-day lives, those each do get deconstructed by the end of the story. So you walk away from Homestuck holding on to this one social construct that you understand, that you watched how it went from being something you'd never heard of before to something that your brain can start to see everywhere and understand thoroughly and identify with. It just presents you with a critical, well-rounded look at your beliefs, at your identity. We could talk about Homestuck all night. It's textual, that the characters see the constructed journey that they're on, in the sense that it's a video game that they're playing, which implies designers, creators with intentions, and they break those systems, and then it goes further and sees the author writing the story, and the concept of them being characters, of them having arcs, gets destroyed. The author dies in the text. The fucking audience commits suicide in the text more than once. It's really good. I think it's still one of the most... It's a treasure trove of subtextual analysis on the relationships between the author and the audience, the author and the art, the audience and the art, the audience and the audience, the author and the author, the art and the art. I think this should be pretty much a video that I just recorded. I'm gay, and you're gay. Ugh, I burped. Now I'm gonna sing the outro song. Gotta do my rituals. I'm nothing without my rituals.
You take the moon and you take the sun.
You take